I meant football first for Europe is 30 billion each year compared to the 300 million in esports. But I just think it's kind of cool. So there's a YouTube documentary, or not a YouTube, a Netflix documentary called All Play No Work, and it follows the League of Legends team and how they generate money and what they do and how they build for it. And if you watch it, if you have a chance this week, because it goes on till Saturday, to get on YouTube, click Dota 2, and it's going to be the number one video that's going to be, streaming at the moment. And it's in the sold out stadium in Seattle. And you should see like the commentating's involved, the graphics involved. They also have like the ESPN touchscreen replay thing where they might have an analyst go through it and watch replays. They have interviews. They have translators. They do have cosplay, which if you're into cosplay, they'll have that between the finals and the semifinals. But I enjoy watching it if you don't know anything about the sport. But the one thing I think is really cool about this and why people might be getting into this more and more every year is I don't play football. And I know Brogan played football growing up. He doesn't play anymore. It's a lot harder for him to get into that sport, right? Or, if you grow older, your years have passed.
Right.
I can't relate to this anymore. But more people play Dota 2 in the United States than play football, casually. And so being able to, really actually participate in the sport that you actively watch is kind of cool. The one thing about the sport that kind of stinks is video games change. They're still an entertainment thing. So Dota 3 is going to come out. So Dota 2, that's going to die. StarCraft 2 is weaning away. The winnings for a tournament is like 10 grand rather than 50,000 or 100,000.
Yeah.
So
ebbs and flows.
Then the game changes. So they might add a character to Dota, which changes the entire flow of how the game will work. And then if a game comes out of like the NBA, the football, all those sports, they're not going away anytime soon. So you can play it for many, many years. But if a game gets out of popularity, your professional career might be over. And so that means a lot of people who are really, I can win a lot of money through tournaments, but I really got to hunker down on sponsorships and streaming, and that's all you.
Unless you're a Nintendo fan that's still playing Mario Kart 7, then you're in luck.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Just give me a frame of reference. So I know that you mentioned that what you really enjoy about it is it's a sport or an esport that you play that you can actively participate in and then watch and judge because you're actively playing it right now. Where are you in the pantheon of everyone who plays this game? Where do you, and I know you play with a group of guys pretty regularly, where would you fall? How far away are you guys from competing in something like this? You know what I mean? And I know it's probably not close, but I'm just curious where that lies.
The cool thing, so you'll see people that play Dota that professionally, but also you should see the Rocket League professional league. It'll blow your fucking mind.
Nuts. I have seen some
It'll
of that.
blow they just had the World Championships, I believe, a month and a half ago. It blew my mind. And that is all, what do you call it, quick reactions, right? And mouse accuracy. Now, for Rocket League, that's with a controller, but it's all about accuracy, mouse accuracy, and it's all about quick reactions. So I have no way the reactions that they have. And especially in the moment, I can't make the strategic calls that they do in the moment. So if you watch them, you'll see man, that's super quick. So that's why a lot of games, for example, back in the day, World of Warcraft, the RTS game, those people, when that came out of fashion, they moved to StarCraft. And then you're watching the same people that were good at that game were good at another RTS game.
Yep.
A lot of Dota players were former League of Legends players. So they still have that quick reaction, and they're very good at video games in general. And so for them to move on from one game to the next is not unusual. Now I do play. They have something called Battle Cup, and the money from the Battle Cup every Saturday partially goes to the winnings for the tournament for Dota 2. And every week I paid a couple dollars to buy a ticket to participate in a tournament. And if I did well, then I could participate in the Champions Battle Cup with my friends. And we did. We lost the second game, but we won the first one. Am I anywhere near that level? No. We would have. The only way we would win is if we cheated. and I don't know how to cheat, but they're that good.
Yeah, because this is their job.
Yeah,
these are these people.
These are millionaires.
Yeah,
these are millionaires. Like
living in a house and like only playing this and only refining strategy. Where you go work a day job and you play with your friends at night. A lot more than most people play video games, but still not enough that you compete.
Like, would it still be fun at that point? Would you just play it enough that it becomes
Well,
more of a
You
job?
love your job.
Can't you say that about football and basketball? Wouldn't you be bored of basketball if you just practiced 7 days a week and then went and played?
Yeah, like imagine if you're LeBron James, do you get bored of basketball? You probably don't. You get paid a lot of money to do the thing that you like doing the most.
Yeah.
You know,
Fair.
Yeah. So they said that annual, like for the Michael Jordan,
better than working a desk job, that's for sure.
the Michael Jordan, I forget his name. I think his name was Marine King or something. But the Michael Jordan of StarCraft Brood War, back in the day when that was the most popular, made $50 million in his career. Now, granted, most of that was from sponsorships, straight up.
Astro Gaming.
Yeah,
like,
the documentary I watched on Netflix, the guy made the LeBron James of them would make $1 million a year through streaming and sponsorships, and that's not even including the winnings. So $1 million a year he would make, and then if he won any tournaments, he would gain more money. So I suggest that you guys really get into it and watch a couple of things. It's not hard. IGN has created a separate tab. ESPN has even started. They had Heroes of the Storm on there, and then 60 years ago, or maybe it was 80 years ago, ESPN said they would never ever broadcast golf as a sport. They said nobody fucking plays that. We will never broadcast it. And now you have 4 freaking tournaments a year that are the most popular tournaments in the world, and they broadcast golf all the time, and they have their own channel for golf.
I think there's no doubt.
Definitely
to me,
a chance.
It's the
that
future.
ESports is
yeah,
gonna happen.
absolutely. With the rise in people being concerned about concussions and the physical long-term effects of the sports as we know it today. I know that could upset a lot of people, but I mean, look out for esports. I think this is the future. Drone racing is taking off and finding like a lot of really cool traction in the world and stuff too. So I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at all if 20 years from now this is a major thing that people tune in to watch. Okay, let's move on to our next topic. I got this one. I got our next topic.
Go for it.
I'm going to lighten things up a little bit, a little less serious stuff. I want to talk about if you were being chased by the cops. That's right. You have committed a crime. You haven't committed a crime. They think you've committed a crime. You're actually innocent.
I'm actually being chased right now.
You did not commit this crime.
Yeah, that's what you think.
But the authorities think you committed this crime. You have to get away from them. Where do you go and why?
I feel uncomfortable telling you my strategy because what if this really happens to me? They can just listen to my podcast and figure it out.
Well, this is just something.
You better give them your B plan, not your A plan.
I'm going to give you my B plan.
I promise to remove this episode from the internet immediately.
What did we do?
They think that they're pretty sure that you killed a family.
A family?
No, sorry. Oh, God, that's brutal. Nope, they think you killed a family. You didn't do it. So they're sending the whole might of God after you. Like, they're sending it after, and for some reason, like...
So this isn't just the regular police. This is like...
SWAT teams, the helicopters, they're chasing you. Where do you go? How do you get away? Because think about all the things you have to consider in this scenario. Like, you can't use your credit card. Obviously, you go off grid, right, as best you can. You're not getting out of the country, most likely, right? I mean, how do you get out of the country? Where are you going? How are you getting away from the man?
This is similar to the snail question from last week.
It's very similar. I'm glad you brought that up.
The snail is constantly chasing you.
Only the U.S. government.
Only the U.S. government is a little faster.
That thinks that you killed a family.
And I didn't get any money from this. I'm more fucked over.
Yeah, so maybe step one, like, how do you get access to your funds, your savings, your checking, like, whatever it is?
I mean, I would immediately...
liquidate that as quickly as you can.
Yeah, I would get as much as I could out of there. Now, granted, that would be a little tough when you have savings.
They'll know where you were then. They'll know where you got it out.
Yeah, but that's step one.
And they probably freeze it pretty quickly.
You would think. Would you even have time?
I guess so. I'm going to reference the movie The Fugitive. I mean,
that's a great factual film.
Yeah, it's super factual. So I mean, you kind of know the shitstorm is coming because they're probably going to interview and interrogate you for a long time. They might not necessarily make the arrest immediately, but you know the shitstorm's coming. So now, granted, if you are being interrogated and then all of a sudden, like, they haven't arrested you yet, and then you started emptying out your accounts and going on the run, you're going to look fucking guilty.
Yeah, you look pretty suspicious.
That's true. If you're running, you're going to look guilty. But let's say they've already made up their mind, and you know that, like, the evidence is damning. And if you get caught, like, you're going to fry for this.
So this is what I would do. Now, we have a friend. His name's Babo. He's called in on the show recently. He's actually our number one fan.
Should we call him?
San Fran.
He's the only person who's ever hung up on the show.
Yeah, we're the number one fan, and he hung up on us. Now, I don't like Babo that much. So
He's the worst.
Yeah, he's kind of the worst person you'll ever meet. I would go to him, right? And I would kind of be like, hey, I know you got some context. He lived in Mexico for a year.
I think he would sell you out faster than you could say his name.
It's very true.
I think he would
I would
absolutely...
have to be very, very careful. He would totally...
Let me call him. Will you call him on your phone? I'm gonna ask him this question specifically. And without prompting, just hand me the phone. I'm going to see what he has to say about it. Okay, so while he's doing that, buddy, what would you do? Like, what would be your first step in this whole process? Would it be to try to liquidate as much of your funds as you possibly can in cash?
I think I'd probably skip that and just try to figure out another way to make money. But then I don't know how I'd get anywhere. I'd have to Oh wait, do you have him?
He's trying. Okay. He's just so sketchy about answering.
I don't know. What would be your first step?
Did you get him? Damn it!
Uh-oh.
He's not going to answer. I don't know why we think this is going to happen every time.
Well, technically, his time. Well, it's like 7 o'clock.
It
where he's
should
at.
be, yeah. So you would also try to get to San Francisco to get to him?
Why? That's where he lives.
Damn it! That's
his
stupid.
That's his voicemail. He tricked me with his voicemail.
Yeah.
It's like on Archer.
Okay, so
I mean, that's the only people. Canada, I guess I would maybe try. It's probably a little easier to maybe go to North Dakota and try to cross over to Canada.
Find some farm to work on for a bit. So that's to your question or to your idea earlier, buddy. You would just try to forget everything you've made at this point. It's gone. It's being watched. It's too dangerous to get to it.
I feel like you're just gonna start fresh. But how do you do that?
How do you do that?
I take it back. So, I mean, honestly, at this point, you're already fucked. So you're going to go. They're going to search maybe your history or IP or your phone.
Oh, they don't search my internet history.
Yeah. So at this point, I don't give a shit. What they know at the very beginning. They're on their way to my house. I would Google literally how to disappear. I promise you, there's hey, there's people who have created, first thing you need to do is get a new ID. So, try to identify somebody through Craigslist or something that I would try to get a fake ID so that I can cross the border. And that way I can probably find some manual label work that don't ask a lot of questions in Canada, and start over there and under a new alias, and completely poof, gone. That's the only thing I'd do. I'd Wolverine it.
Do you think it would be helpful if you got to, and this is going to sound terrible, this is not what my view of Mexico is, but if you were to if you go to any other country, find criminals and tell them the situation and be I want to work for you, and I want to...
Oh no. Because then you're actually a criminal. If you weren't guilty in the first place.
What else? You're not going to go work for fucking Starbucks at this point because you're wanted. You know what I mean? I think even fucking Interpol is probably looking for you at this point. That has the jurisdiction to go across country lines and find you. I mean, I don't even think if you get to Mexico, you're going to be totally safe.
First of all, have you seen Buddy? Does he look like the one that they would welcome over into their criminal organization?
Hi guys,
George.
my name's George.
Just wondering if
I heard you guys sell some of those drugs.
Does George have a mustache? I feel like she's got a
No, George's got a goatee though.
He's got a goatee.
Yeah.
I fucking hate George.
I don't know. I think I would also try to find a way. So the first step would be go to Canada, try to find some manual labor job that all I'd be doing is chopping wood and living my life, and then
It might even be a simpler way to live. It might be kind of nice.
Live in a shack up in the mountains.
Yep.
You could just not even need money. That could be, you could just work
Live
for
off the
yourself,
land.
live off the land. Like
Relive
Paul Bunyan.
my inner Boy Scout.
Like that kid in My Side of the Mountain.
If I earned enough money and I found a way to research, I'd probably go to a country that had no extradition. But then again, I'm not a U.S. citizen, or I'm not a citizen of that country, so they could just yank me out. But But maybe if they don't have extradition, then we're not very friendly with them anyway.
Do you ever try to make contact with your loved ones back here in the U.S.?